Welcome to New York's number 2 sports show. The New York Rangers defeat the Detroit Red Wings by a score of 5-3 at Madison Square Garden. They extend their point streak to 8, so they are 7-0-1 in the last 8 games. They came off of the shootout loss against the Minnesota Wild, which was not a well-played game by the Rangers. They took a 3-0 lead. They then trailed 4-3. They tied it up, ultimately losing it in the shootout, but they really had a very strong game. The Rangers were great in the first 2 periods. They had a 5-0 lead, and then, a combination of maybe taking their foot off the gas, and Detroit, playing with some hunger in the third, and Detroit, scored 3 goals in the third, but the Rangers do a really good job all the way around. Again, you'd like some of these third periods to be better, but they have not been bad to the point where it's really cost the Rangers at all to this point. So the Rangers improved their overall record to 9-2-1, and the lineup was, the one change in the lineup was Barclay Goodrow back from paternity leave, so he would be in the lineup, and Johnny Brodzinski out, which was kind of my preference. And so there was some forward changes line-wise. One in relation to that, where Bonino ends up being the third line center. Goodrow centers the fourth line. But other changes, Blake Wheeler moves up to the first line to play with Zibanejad and Kreider, and then Kakko's on the third line with Bonino and Cooley. So I wouldn't say Wheeler being on the first line really made much of a difference at all. That Zibanejad line, even strength-wise, still continues to have problems in terms of scoring goals. They do a good job defensively, but you need them to provide offense. They haven't really done that at all, and yet the Rangers are still really doing great. So I guess that's a good sign, but Kakko is moved down, and deservedly so. I don't think Blake Wheeler deserved the promotion, not at all. In fact, if it were up to me, Will Cooley would have been the one that you could have given that to. Although, if you did that, then I don't think you could make it work in terms of, I feel like you'd be a little bit too top heavy, and, Cooley by trade is a left wing, so if you move him to the right, then, I think that you're looking at some problems as far as Kakko and Wheeler. Neither of them can play the left side. So, but yeah, defense was the same. Connor Mackey was a healthy scratch again. And, Jones and Schneider were a lot better, certainly offensively. The first 2 periods, like Zach Jones in the offensive zone, you see the skill. In the third period, some issues, and I don't feel great about them at all, but that's what they decided to go with. And Eric Gustafsson continues to be really good. I'm just very impressed by him in terms of what he's able to do. He looked good on the power play with Adam Fox out. He, really, has kind of fit in seamlessly with this team. And then goaltending-wise, Igor scratched again. Jonathan Quick starts again with Louis Domingue backing him up. So I think Shesterkin will be back soon. Will it be next game? Not necessarily. And until then, I think they'll just roll with Quick. I don't think you'll see Domingue start. There's really no reason to. And Quick, look, the stats probably ended up not being great. Yeah, nothing special, but he was good. Again, Quick, he's done a nice job. Like the 3 goals that he gave up, don't really have a problem with, I don't know, maybe one of them, but the game was out of reach at that point anyway. So this was a very strong performance, and it's a Red Wing team that was coming off of a win against the Bruins. Like, the Red Wings are very much a team that might make the playoffs in the Eastern Conference. We'll see. They're an improving team with a lot of speed and skill, but the Rangers, really, I thought the Rangers the first 2 periods were really good 5-on-5. Not as much in the third, but there's a caveat to that. But the special teams was great. Rangers were 2 for 3 on the power play, whereas Detroit was 0 for 6. So just a lot of good there across the board. So let's start it out. The Rangers jump out to an early lead. Ville Husso in net for the Detroit Red Wings. And it's a goal for Vincent Trocheck. It would be the first of 2 goals for Trocheck. It was his second goal of the season, assisted by Eric Gustafsson. So Trocheck takes a pass from Gustafsson, and I guess, he's on the right side. I don't know if it was a 3-on-2 exactly, but he had some room, didn't really have any passing options, so he takes a shot on net and he scores. It's one that Husso maybe wants to have back, but, Trocheck's one of the few guys that does kind of at times have a shoot-first mentality, and the Rangers take a 1-0 lead, and the Rangers really dominated for the first half, 3/4 of that first period was all Rangers. There were a couple of penalties. Blake Wheeler at 5:16 trips Ole Mata. And for Wheeler, that was the first of a couple penalties. He's kind of had a habit of taking penalties. So, again, for Wheeler, he hasn't hurt them, but overall, I haven't loved what I've seen from him. But I digress. Rangers kill off the penalty, as the Ranger penalty kill has been really spectacular lately. Then at 12:10, Will Cooley, who, even though I'm giving him praise, he has also taken penalties as well. He's called for holding against Dylan Larkin, but the Ranger penalty kill again kills it off, and the Rangers leave the first period up 1-0. And then in the second period, they absolutely explode. However, it does start out with a penalty against Blake Wheeler. At 37 seconds, he holds Jeff Petrie. But then the Rangers draw some power plays, and this was key. Andrew Kopp, the former Ranger, holds Eric Gustafsson at 7:19, and the Rangers score. And it's Chris Kreider with his classic tip-in on the power play. His 9th goal of the season for Kreider, assisted by Gustafsson and Panarin. So with that point by Panarin, and he would get another point, but with that one, he extends his season-opening point streak to 12 games. When this game is over, 20 points for Panarin in 12 games. He has been unbelievable, so good, and has been one of the best players in the NHL in the early going. So Kreider from Gustafsson. So Gustafsson takes the shot. It goes through, and Kreider, and Trocheck was kind of in the mix there as well. So, Husso could do nothing about it, but Kreider scores his 9th to give the Rangers a 2-0 lead. And then they go right back on the power play as Christian Fischer trips Braden Schneider at 7:47. And it's a goal again for Vincent Trocheck, his 2nd goal of the night, 3rd goal of the season from Zibanejad and Kreider at 8:15. This is a nice play where Kreider gets the puck, finds Zibanejad, and Zibanejad makes a nice pass. And Trocheck, with kind of a bouncing puck, shoots it right away, snapshot and in. Gives the Rangers a 3-0 lead, and then they would make it 4-0. The best line this year offensively is always the Artemi Panarin line. And so Panarin scores his 7th from Lafreniere. A really nice pass by Lafreniere behind the net to Panarin, who scores. And for Alexei, I thought it was a really good game for him. Had a lot of jump, looked good. Just, besides that assist, I thought it was a good game for him. And that line in general, they were probably all, the stars of the night. So that makes it 4-0 Rangers. And then they would score again. Will Cooley with a tip-in goal. And he's shown, an ability to kind of be a net front guy and has some decent hands, and has a little bit of skill. So Cooley with his 3rd goal of the season from Jones and Schneider. And this is a shot by Jones from the point. And Zach Jones, especially in the first 2 periods, really looked good in the offensive zone. Schneider as well. So, they provided some offense, which was nice. Rangers have a 5-0 lead. Then at 14:23, Jake Wallman cross-checks Barclay Goodrow. The Red Wings kill it off. And then a bad call at 19:57 of the second. Keandre Miller called for tripping Daniel Sprong. Shouldn't have been called, but they call it. Rangers kill it off. We go to the 3rd period. It's still 5-0. And at 4:34, Barclay Goodrow cross-checks Moritz Seider. And then during that penalty, Keandre Miller's called for delay of game at 5:43. So the Rangers kill those off, but very soon after the Miller penalty expires, Rasmussen scores his 2nd of the season from Sherratt and Petrie. So 7:55 makes it 5-1. So the shutout is over for Quick. And then right after that, 20 seconds later, it's a goal by Kostin. His 1st goal of the season from Sherratt and Fischer. So the 4th line doing a nice job for the Red Wings at this point. Not a great defensive play by Zach Jones on this goal here. Some of the more depth players, I think, were on for some of these goals, the 4th line and, in the 3rd pair. But it is 5-2 at this point, and the Red Wings score again. At 13:49, the former Ranger Andrew Kopp scores his 5th goal of the season from Compher and Husso. Nice play by Husso, the goalie, to kind of set this up. Caught the Rangers sleeping a little bit on a bad line change, and they make it 5-3. Then the Red Wings did have some chances. Quick made some stops. They had some defense. And ultimately, the Rangers win this 5-3. And like I said, they are now on an 8-game point streak. They are 7-0-1 in the last 8, and they're 9-2-1 overall. It has been a really good start, and especially, again, no Shesterkin, no Fox in particular, no Hedl. So for them to bank these points with those guys out is really, really important. So now the Rangers' next game is Thursday, and they will take on the Minnesota Wild, who they just played Saturday night. That was their one loss that they've had in a long stretch of time. And, Minnesota tonight beat the Islanders. So they're playing better hockey. The Wild record now sits at 5-5-2. They got out to a slow start. They're coming on strong. But I'd like to think, or is it better than 5-5-2? Let me see. It might be. Is it 6-5-2? No, I think it actually might be 5-5-2. So, Minnesota, who is playing better lately, but I think the Rangers will be up for the task. It doesn't mean they're going to win the game, but I think that, look, it was such a game that happened only a few days ago where they really performed poorly at Minnesota. So I think the Rangers will put their best foot forward. We'll see what happens. The Wild, again, they're coming on strong. Matt Zuccarello will be back in Madison Square Garden. I'm sure he'll, do some things to hurt his former team. Marc-Andre Fleury was in net for Minnesota tonight. I wouldn't be too surprised if he's in net again on Thursday at MSG. And could Igor be back? Maybe. But there's really no need to rush him. I could see Quick getting this next game and then the one against Columbus as well on Sunday. And then maybe we'll see Igor after they have a little bit of a break. Maybe that's when he'll be back. But we'll see. Again, as long as the Rangers play well in front of Quick, which they did tonight, they'll be okay. The Rangers are able to bounce back after a rough night at Minnesota. They beat the Detroit Red Wings at MSG by a score of 5-3, and now they will take on the Minnesota Wild again on Thursday night.